From a flightless simulator at Ferris Air to a momentous meeting in an alley to the complex mind of an architect to every far sector in space and to the brilliance of the central power battery on Oa. This is the podcast that covers the adventures of all of your favorite ring slingers. This is the Emerald Echo with your hosts, Adam and the Emerald Enthusiast.
Welcome to another episode of Emerald Echo, a Green Lantern podcast and Vidcast. As always, I'm your host, Adam. And with me is my co-host, the Emerald Enthusiast himself, breaking glass like Stone Cold when he enters a building. Donnie, how's it going?
What's up, Lantern fans? It's the man whose ring runs on fanboy energy. It is the Emerald Enthusiast, and we're back with another episode of the Emerald Echo.
And that was an inside joke that only Donnie and I are aware of. So
too long of a story to tell here.
just to roll with it and let's move on. But,
rolling.
That's right. That's the badass Undertaker. It's wrestling / Green Lantern episode today, apparently.
There we go.
So, Donnie, we have some, as always, news items to discuss, and then in our first half of the show, and then in our second half of the show, we're going to review Green Lantern Earth 1 Volume 2.
Volume 2, yeah.
And I had to say that slowly because I could have mucked that up really easily. But I know this is a Green Lantern show, and I know by the time our audience is watching and listening to this, they'll have seen me and Chris dissect the Flash trailer and discuss it. But you weren't on that episode, so I want to give you a chance to give us your take after seeing the trailer for Batman Flashpoint. I mean the Flash, but
My take is I think people are going to see it regardless. I'm excited to have Michael Keaton back. I'm excited to see Supergirl again, a different version of Supergirl, because I was a fan of the show. Obviously, different actress here. I don't think, and I know that there's all kinds of controversy, and I see it all over social media about Ezra Miller. The bottom line is superheroes are their own stars, regardless of who plays them. And in this case, yes, we realize that Ezra Miller has a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and they may face, and I'm using the proper pronouns here, they may face some justice down the road, ironically. Lay all that aside. This is about the art, and this is about a movie that's going to be important going forward. I think people will see it regardless of all the behind the scenes noise. And my guess is it will be a success.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, yeah, but again, by the time you've seen this, everybody knows how excited I am for the trailer. And look, here's my take in terms of what you just said about Ezra. I look, whatever he's going through, hope he gets the help he needs. Seems like he's getting that. Cool, great.
Right.
In terms of the legal issues he's facing, I'm not a judge, I'm not a jury, so let those people handle it.
Yeah.
I don't think the general audience, the wide general audience, cares. Like I don't think they know enough. Like Ezra Miller is not enough of a big star for them to care. Mm-hmm. If he was Johnny Depp, you know, or Tom Cruise, or if stuff like that happened with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, maybe then it would permeate outside of the Twitter bubble. But I just don't think the general audience cares about Ezra Miller enough to be, I'm going to boycott this thing. Sure, there are going to be some people on Twitter, but I don't think, like, to me, the general audience is going to look at that. They're like, oh, cool. And you know what they're going to say? Two Flashes looks cool. Wait a minute, Michael Keaton's back? All right, I'm going to see this. Ben Affleck's there? I'm going to see this thing.
A lot of people who would not see this movie will come see it just because we see the 89 version of Batman with Michael Keaton back.
Yeah.
Because he is that big a star.
Yeah. He, like, that version of Batman is a star in and of itself, right? And it's like,
exactly.
If you're doing these movies correctly and giving them the service they need, the character is the star, right?
Yes, 100% agreement.
The actor is almost okay. people are going to take this the wrong way, but you'll understand. The actor is almost inconsequential.
In many ways, yes. If the writing is good enough, people will accept a new version of the character.
Like when you look at the casting of Superman way back when, right, in the 70s,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they cast an unknown because they felt that you have to see Superman when you see the character step on the screen. And then they filled the other roles with bigger stars to, kind of sell the movie, right? For average Joe Schmo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much how I think these things should be orchestrated. Like, play it as, look, we've got to service the character first. That's why when people bring up, oh, Tom Cruise is Hal Jordan. I mean, I guess I can see it, like from a visual perspective, and he's a solid enough actor to pull it off. But in that case, there's a worry of, I'm just seeing Tom Cruise in a Green Lantern costume, and I don't know if that's the reaction you want. Right?
That is the reaction for a lot of really big stars.
Yeah.
When you cast someone who is noted for playing a lot of different roles, do people see the character, or do people just see the star up there wearing a costume?
Right.
Because I've heard that said about, and I'm not saying that I agree with this, but a lot of people said that about Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sly Stallone. They're just like, oh, it's this guy being his latest role, and they're all the same. I don't agree, but some people think that way.
No, but plus, like Sylvester Stallone when he played Dredd, there's a reason why they had his helmet off 3/4 of the time, because you had to see Sylvester Stallone. He was right, and that's the problem. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Same thing with Spider-Man. I hated that Spider-Man's always ripping his mask off in the Spider-Man.
And it's like, and the thing that pissed me off is, like, at the point when they were cast as their respective Spider-Mans, who the hell is Tom Holland? Sorry, not Tom Holland. That too, but who the hell is Tobey Maguire? At the point when he was cast as Spider-Man, I don't know him from a hole in the wall. Like, I didn't. Andrew Garfield, the same thing. I don't need to. Like, I want to see Spider-Man. I don't want to see him pulling off his mask and crying. And Tom Holland, the problem with Tom Holland is, outside of Spider-Man, none of his movies are connecting. So what does that tell you, right? So with general audiences, like, they're not breakout hits, right? So, and the MCU is kind of proving that with some of its stars. Like, aside from that Netflix movie that Chris Hemsworth was in, right? Mm-hmm. And look, anything that's half decent can be a hit on Netflix because so many people have Netflix around the world.
Right.
So,
although less now, they've all of a sudden turned into the galactic empire of streaming.
Well, yeah, because you can't password share. Yeah. And to a degree, I like, it can get ridiculous. Like, if I'm giving my password to somebody in friggin' Calgary, I get why Netflix would be pissed off. Be like, hey, like, let the guy in Calgary buy his own freaking Netflix account, which is fair, right? But, like, if the guy's my next door neighbor, what the hell harm is it? But anyway, but the point I'm trying to make is, outside of the Thor movies, if Chris Hemsworth's in a movie, he ain't putting butts in seats. Even Robert Downey Jr., like, Doolittle didn't do squat. I wanted to say another word, but then, So, like, Iron Man was the box office draw. Everything he's done since hasn't hit in terms of making big money. Thor is the same thing. So,
in the MCU, they've had a couple of characters already. We've seen major changes. Bruce Banner, War Machine.
Yeah.
Different actors come along, but the machine keeps rolling along. And we're not saying that they didn't do a good job. They did do it. Both of them did an outstanding job. But the MCU is Marvel itself as a brand,
but the characters
that carries interest, regardless of who's there.
Right.
Yeah.
And that should be the Flash. Now, the Flash, while he's big to, us as superhero fans, the general audience may not see him as, top tier, right? I mean, now they will, because they've had 9 seasons of a show.
Yeah.
He's been in cartoons, but you know, I hear some hardcore Flash fans. Well, why are they using Batman to market the movie? Okay, again, and I know people are going to be pissed off, and I know some people in the Green Lantern fandom space get pissed off. But here's the fact: you know why they're using Batman and two of them? I'll tell you why. Because when it comes to DC Comics, you know who keeps the lights on and the bills paid? The guy that owns Wayne Manor and operates out of a cave. That's why they're using Batman to market it.
You could have made.
It's just a fact. Forget about the fact that I love Batman and Superman, but the character of Batman pays the bills for DC.
People will, and I'll say this as somebody who, and I will say this: I like Superman better than Batman. Okay,
get out.
But
get out. You're fired. No, I'm kidding.
People who would not go to see any other kind of comic book movie will still go to see Batman.
Yeah.
He's one of the easiest heroes to understand and to bring audiences in. The general population who may not care about comic books, may not care about shared universes, Batman, especially an established version, will bring in viewers to this movie.
Right. And the hope is, if The Flash is a hit, that will propel James Gunn's DC universe going forward, and it'll give it an extra oomph. And then
with or without Ezra Miller, by the way.
I think, look, regardless of what happens, again, I've said it 100 times, I'm glad he's getting help. I don't know, guilty or innocent. I'm not on the jury. That's not for me to decide. I wasn't there in Iceland. I don't know the scenario of that incident with the woman. Was it planned? Because sometimes you go to a convention and people take certain pictures and video with the stars, pretending to throw a punch or what have you. So I don't know if that was orchestrated and then it went wrong. I don't know the particulars of the scenario, but I think that no matter what, the Flash can hit $1 billion, and I still think we're going to get a new Flash at some point. That's not me slandering Ezra Miller. That's not me throwing shade at him because of their pronouns. I really don't care about all this stuff. They call yourself how you want to be referred to. That's cool. Again, I'm all for that. I can't pronounce guilt or innocence because I'm not a judge or jury.
Likewise, but we know it's complicated. It's more than one scenario. So who knows what things the future is going to hold for Ezra Miller.
All I can say is I'll give him credit for this. His performance in that trailer looks solid, especially the Barry from our universe. He seems like he's getting more in terms of being a superhero, more confident. Like when he's talking to Ben Affleck's Bruce, there's a bit more growth, confidence there. So he did a really good job, and then also they did a really good job, also playing off the other version of himself. That was really well done. So his performance, or their performance, awesome in the trailer.
This version of the character needs it the most. I think the Flash was the character that was the worst handled among all of the Justice League in the DCEU.
It was a miscast, personally.
Yeah.
But again, in the trailer, there was solid work being done there. So I'll give him credit for that, 100%. But I still think that, look, this thing could make all the money in the world. And just from a PR standpoint, I don't think you want to go into that with the potential. Because what if Ezra, does well, and he goes through his recovery? What if there's a relapse, and he's still they're still the Flash?
Yeah.
Then we're gonna go through all this again. So it just behooves for me, just for the sake of moving forward and having no potential future issues crop up, I think the obvious option is a recast. But and again, they're not going to say that right now. You're going to see articles that say, "Oh, there's potential for Ezra to return," as long as it's his thing. Of course, they're going to say that because they got a movie to market.
Right.
It's the same reason they said, "Oh yeah, there's no reason why Shazam can't come back and this person can't come back." all the past, there's room for a lot of the DC to potentially return. Look, they're going to say that until all the remaining movies, namely Flash and Aquaman, are out and their box office runs have completed.
Mm-hmm.
After that, then we'll see what the response is. Like, to me, the only people that have a chance of carrying over into James Gunn's DCU are the Peacemaker character, because they're in Amanda Waller, so there's that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
plus, Peacemaker very inexpensive.
Yeah, but because they're in Waller, some of them are gonna prop up, right? So that's an obvious. But outside of that, I think there's an outside shot that Sasha Calle Supergirl, if she's received well, could transfer over, and also, what's his name?
Jason
Blue Beetle.
Momoa.
Blue Beetle.
Okay.
No, I think that sure, there's going to be Aquaman 2, and then they're going to transition him over to Lobo in some kind of way.
Right.
That's what
so
I think is going to happen.
You don't think there will be an Aquaman 3? Because that's what I've always been wondering. Is I'm like, will he do Aquaman and Lobo? Because Lobo, they could put him in a lot of makeup.
James Gunn said he won't do it at the same time.
Okay.
He won't be playing both simultaneously. So if Aquaman 2 makes $1 billion, do they make Aquaman 3? Probably, but then again, what the director there, James Wan, said he wouldn't do a 3 because he only does 2.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't like doing prequels. So if James Wan doesn't come back,
it'd be really cool if Lobo attacked Atlantis. And we had Jason Momoa playing both roles in the same movie.
No, the question is, would you have to pay him twice?
Good, and yeah. I don't even want to think about the budget of like having to have your main actor playing both roles. It would be astronomical.
Look, I hope, like I said, I'm excited for the Flash trailer, the Flash based on the trailer. I hope that I really enjoy Ezra's performances, multiple, because he's in, he plays multiple versions of themselves. So I hope I enjoy his performance, and again, this is nothing against Ezra personally. I think regardless, when the time comes to reintroduce Flash into James Gunn's and Peter Safran's DCU, I think he's going to have a different face. And that's just the way I see it. And it seems like you're on the same wavelength there.
Yeah.
So you enjoyed it. You're ready for the Flash, multiple Batman, Supergirl. You're ready for all of that. You're excited, and I say,
bring me back some more. Bring me more DC content.
Bring on June, because I tell you, the sooner we get through, we once we've seen the Flash, once we've seen Aquaman, then we can get the Blue Beetle, and then we can get to whatever James Gunn is cooking up. And I like what I smell from what he's cooking, unlike Rod's been cooking. But anyway,
you smell what the gun is cooking, huh?
Yeah. The gunpowder is going off, and it kind of smells good. But anyway, that actually sounds like...
That was a bizarre statement.
That sounds like James Gunn farted, so I'm just going to leave that there. Yeah. I'm just going to leave that thing there.
There you go.
But
you're going to leave the cloud to dissipate.
Yes, I am, indeed. To bring it back to Green Lantern, the parallax cloud that was in the 2011 movie, I'm just going to let that dissipate and go from there. But speaking of, before we get to the comic news that is abound with Green Lantern, Donnie, you recently went to a comic convention.
Yes, I did. And I went in. I didn't spend too much time in there because, again, it's a big crowd. But went in double masked and did my best to, try to distance. But the reason I went was I wanted to meet Jamal Igle, who is a very famous artist. If you know anything about DC Comics, he's had a bunch of different titles to his credit. He's been around for a long time. And I got him to sign multiple things. He also did a sketch for me, which I can't reach the sketch right now, but I can show you an autographed copy of his first work. And this is Green Lantern number 52. This is actually the version with the DC logo. This is the second print. It's very rare. And I got him to autograph this for me.
That's cool.
He was very gracious. and extremely talented. One of the things I saw, he had the original art for the Kwanzaa card that DC released. It was like a digital card.
Okay.
And it had a numerous young black heroes on it, including Joe Mullane.
Oh.
And I salivated at it. It was just so great to see that original art. Now it was way out of my price range, but it was awesome. So,
but whoever buys it is going to have some of Donnie's drool on it. So,
he kept it away. So none of my DNA's on it. So yeah, but he is an incredibly talented artist. Very, he talked to me at length and very gracious. And yeah, I just can't say enough good things about him. And yeah, so I will put a link into his website. So if you want to go to his website and check out his work, if you're listening to this podcast, we'll go ahead and do that. And hey, maybe we'll get him on the show someday.
Yeah, I was going to say, why didn't you invite him on the show? Come on, you should be constantly doing PR for the show in your sleep, in the car, wherever, call into the your local radio station, tell them about our show.
It must, I'm sure my wife would appreciate that. Come on to the Emerald Echo.
Your wife's going to come on the show and tell us both off. That's what's going to happen.
Please, Ryan Reynolds, come on the show.
Well, hey, listen, your wife may be dreaming of Ryan Reynolds too, so it will be a shared dream. But anyway, he might own the Ottawa Senators, so if he came on the show, I think that would be very contentious.
Quick question, I got to ask you: did you see Sami Zayn's shirt Friday night on SmackDown? You know how he has the honorary Uso shirt, but this says honorary Hab.
Yeah, I didn't look.
I'm like, I know Adam has mixed feelings here.
Look, I said it on our wrestling show a couple of weeks when we reviewed the Rumble that WWE's done a good job with this storyline and making me care and root for somebody from Montreal. But last night he ruined it. I'll tell you why. Because he came out and look, he's pandering to the crowd. He's pandering to his home crowd, and half of his interviews in French.
Yeah.
And I said, and me being a Leaf fan, I got nothing against French people, but me being a Leaf fan, there's natural animosity between Leafs and Habs fans. So tomorrow, or actually, wait a minute, today, as of this recording, it's tonight.
Yes.
I'm going to enjoy. First, I'm going to watch the Leaf game, and then I'm going to watch a rebroadcast of Elimination Chamber. I'm going to enjoy seeing Roman Reigns beat the crap out of Sami Zayn in his hometown. I wanted you to win up until last night, and now I'm going to enjoy you losing. And so
I still want to know what he said in French there, because the crowd popped, and I was like, I got two French words, and I'm like, okay,
All I know is hopefully the Leafs are going to beat the Habs tonight, and then Roman Reigns is going to smash Sami Zayn and be a double loss for the Montreal crowd.
What would be cool if Roman Reigns came out tonight wearing a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey? That would be awesome. I would
appreciate that. So tribal chief, from one tribal chief to another, wear a Leaf jersey. And if you lose, then I'll never forgive you. If you lose after coming out in a Leaf jersey, you'll never be forgiven. So wear it wisely.
Well, there's only one round, so hopefully he would win.
Why just to go there, Donnie? Why just to go there?
I suffered too, not nearly as long as you, but
Yeah, but I have scars, emotional scars.
Emotional damage.
Yeah. Look, if I become a Lantern, I'll tell you which one I'm going to become. It's going to be a red one because the Leafs are driving me there. They're driving me to Atrocitus. But anyway, that's not here nor there. So I'm glad you had fun at the convention. Speaking of Green Lantern, Donnie, in terms of comic books, because you've alluded to them. There's some news regarding comics. First up, we're getting a reprint, or not a reprint, a omnibus of a very popular run in Green Lantern history. So tell us about
it. This is going to be Green Lantern Corps, and
not Corpse, Corps.
Yeah, not Corpse. Yes, this is going to be Green Lantern Corps. A lot of us
Green Lantern Corps. You can always watch Zack Snyder's Justice League. You see two of them.
Well, there is the Corpse. There was that storyline, actually, where they used the little black discs. So, but yes, this is a run. A lot of us have wanted this run. Obviously, Jeff Johns and, Ron Mars, those type of runs that were collected in various ways. People wanted those because they were the main title. even though this is not the main title, a lot of us are just very happy about this, that we finally get an omnibus. And I'm a sucker for omnibus editions. So, yeah, I'm very happy about this, and I just can't wait to get it. So,
agreed.
if I went on and on about the storyline, though, we'd be here forever. Because
we're going to eventually review the storyline. So
let's do it.
We'll save that when we get there, right? That's the whole point.
Yes. Right here on the Emerald Echo podcast, available on YouTube. Tell all your friends.
Right. Definitely do that.
And Adam was like scratching his head. Oh boy, loud shameless plug.
and tell Jamal Eagle too to come on the show, because Donnie's in at the show. So if you know Jamal, then tell him that we mentioned him, and Donnie met him and drooled all over his artwork.
He had lots of original artwork. He had some Kyle panels too. I was just like, man.
So, in addition to the omnibus, Green Lantern fans are in for a treat, because we're finally getting, once again, in monthly format, the Green Lantern is coming back. So Jeremy Adams has written, is currently writing The Flash.
Okay.
And he wrote the Flashpoint Beyond, the one that we reviewed with Carlos.
Okay.
He co-wrote that. And the artist, Zermanico, is the guy that drew the Flashpoint Beyond. So if you like the artwork, and you like the writing, and you like Green Lantern, that's 3 big wins for you, because that's what we're getting. And
I know that there are going to be multiple versions of the first issue. There's going to be variant covers, some rare variant covers. So I'm going to be after those.
Really, Donnie, you're gonna buy all the variants? I mean, who would have thought? Who knew that Donnie is gonna go?
By the way, Guy and Kyle are showing up in an episode in an issue of Doom Patrol. I believe it's Doom Patrol number 3.
Now I was gonna say, are you?
Look, now I've got to have that.
I know you don't read Doom Patrol.
Not on a regular basis, but
on the regular. But you're gonna buy that comic, right?
Oh, definitely.
Look,
maybe a couple afterwards, just to see like what the aftermath is.
So. I'm so excited, Donnie, for this new Green Lantern book. But I'm also torn, you see, because I have a limited number of books I can get on my list, my physical pull list. Mm-hmm. And I'm torn because so hear me out. One of the books that I started with when I started reading comics, in terms of back into it, that I was getting regularly, was Green Lantern. I started with Rebirth and Jeff Johns and all that jazz. Mm-hmm. So part of me is thinking, you got to go back to where you started. So get all the books that you started with. Okay. If I do that, then that means I'll be adding Green Lantern back onto my list. That means something's got to go, Donnie. Something's got to transition to digital.
Okay.
So now, here's my problem. I've been getting a few issues of Nightwing recently. I only have about 5 so far. I haven't been getting it for long. So the takeoff, because I'm getting Batman, Superman, Action, and World's Finest. Those aren't going anywhere. I'll tell you that right now.
I would like the poetic justice of dropping Batman for Green Lantern, but yeah, I know you don't want to do that.
Don, I'm going to DDT you through the screen right now just for mentioning. Jake the Snake style, trust me. But so those.
I am not going to the center of the room. I will tell you that right now.
So those are the point. Yeah, Ultimate Warrior found out was real good. What a classic storyline. Anyway.
Oh man, that was great.
Right, it was so good. We got to cover that on Way Back WrestleMania one day.
Yeah, that was scary actually.
I love Jake the Snake Roberts.
Watching him in that room with all those snakes, I was like, man.
And then at the end, when the Undertaker is supposedly actually there, like he's there to film the segment, but whether the perception of whether the Ultimate Warrior is just hallucinating, and you hear the dong of the theme song. Man, I'm telling you, and a side note, that guy has scared the living shit out of me since I was 6 or 7 years, however old I was when he came on the scene. And still to this day, And I get it. Mark Calloway is a human being. He's not actually a dead zombie underthing.
Mhm.
But anyway, every time I hear that damn dong of the song, I get antsy. It just still bugs me. But anyway,
wasn't that one of the most shocking babyface turns ever?
Yeah, but he still
Yeah.
scared the crap out of
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anyway, but go ahead.
Anyway, so Batman, Superman, action, world's finest. Those are the main four that aren't going anywhere. The only two that could potentially come off are either Nightwing to accommodate Green Lantern, or either Nightwing or Daredevil. Now I've been a Daredevil fan since I got back into comics.
I was gonna say, I know you're not gonna drop Daredevil.
So Nightwing, I'm sorry, and Tom Taylor, I love both. I love Dick Grayson. I have to say the full name because otherwise it sounds provocative. I love Dick Grayson. I love Tom Taylor's work. I love Nightwing. But I just spent some money recouping my Daredevil collection that for whatever reason, my old comic book shop didn't get me. Am I really going to sacrifice that now? Probably not. So I think Nightwing is going to have to go, Donnie.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's not. I'm not stopping reading.
You can always pick up the collected edition later.
I'm just reading it digitally. That's all.
Yep.
I'm still paying for it.
Yeah.
I'm just reading it digitally.
Oh, there you go.
And so.
Plus, that saves space.
So Jeremy Adams. I'm dropping Nightwing now for this Green Lantern book. All right, show me what you got, buddy.
And this is supposedly going to feature a story that will eventually launch the Philip Kennedy Johnson title with John Stewart.
The backup is going to be a John story. Now, because the John book is going to be a mini series, that one I'll probably get digitally. Because my strategy is if you're a mini, then I go digital. And like Carlos, I remember Carlos, our guest, he actually gave me a good advice, which is, get the miniseries digitally, and then if you like it, you could always buy the trade. So I'm like, that's a cool, that's a cool compromise. So for the John Stewart thing, I'm gonna buy that digitally because it's a miniseries. And then it would run into a real problem if I had to decide between Philip Kennedy Johnson's Action Comics or Philip Kennedy Johnson's John Stewart. Like, all right, now what am I doing? Right? It's like, which one? And for me to take off a Superman book, I mean, they would have to it would have to be a book on Zack Snyder's Nightmare sequence Superman, where he's evil for the whole end. Like that, I don't want to read. If Action Comics did that, then I'd drop the crap out of it. But since it's not doing that, I'm not planning on dropping Action Comics. So I will pick up. Thank you. You've now talked me into physically picking up curse you, Donnie. You've talked me into physically picking up the Green Lantern book and moving Nightwing to digital. So look, if the book doesn't do well, it's all you. I'm going to blame you because you convinced me to swap.
Curse you, Barry the Platypus.
Right. So yeah, no. I'm excited. Again, I'm reading The Flash digitally, which Jeremy Adams is writing, and I'm loving it. The fact that we're getting him writing it, I think it's going to be really good. And I'm excited. I know you're excited, Donnie. I think you're only, and we're going to Sinestro's back causing shenanigans again, which is always fun.
I hope we see some of Saronic Natu in this. I want to know what's going on with her.
Yeah, she would be cool to see. But again, it's just going to be, look, it's going to be different because Hal is coming home to kind of metaphorically recharge his batteries.
And literally.
Probably literally has to do the same thing. So it's going to be Sinestro coming to Earth, I guess, and causing some crap. So
I never thought I'd see artwork of Sinestro in a hoodie, but it looks good.
Yeah, it looks cool with the hoodie. I mean, it's interesting. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the art looks good. The solicitation has me intrigued. And so far, Jeremy Adams has won me over as a writer, so I'm excited. And so, if you want this to be a long-term book that goes as long as something like Jeff Johns wrote for Green Lantern, then get out there and buy it when it comes out in May. Whether it's physical or digitally, pay for the damn book. So my recommendation is, if you have DC Universe Infinite, that's cool, but I'd also buy it via Amazon or Comixology if you're going to buy digitally, because that sales of the day on the day it comes out helps.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If you're waiting for it to show up on DC Infinite and you just wait 30 days till #1 shows up, well, yeah, you're paying for it.
That's only if you have Ultra too.
Right? Yeah. So it's like you're paying for it, but you know, it's there. I mean, it's different, right? You're basically renting it, right? Kind of thing. So pay for the book when it comes out, either physically or digitally.
I want to get a T-shirt now that says "I rent comics."
But it kind of is, right? Because
yeah.
What if on DC Infinite they decide, oh, we're gonna take off a certain number of comics?
And they do that, by the way. I mean, by the way, I have DC Infinite. I love it, but they don't always give you everything.
Whereas if you buy Green Lantern #1 on Amazon on your Kindle, it's on your Kindle, right? So you own it, relatively speaking, because it's not a physical comic, but you know what I mean? You could say you own that, right?
Right.
So, and my trepidation is with getting DC Infinite is the fact that I got to pay to convert. What is it, Ultra?
Yeah, the Ultra is, I believe it's $20 more than the basic subscription.
Right, and so then whatever it is in America, you got to understand that I got to transfer that. I got to pay the Canadian equivalent, which is more.
Right.
And so, yeah, is it cool that I get everything new a month later? Yeah, but if I'm only reading 6 to 10 DC books, 6 of them I'm getting, or 4 of them or 5 of them I'm getting physically, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. Why am I waiting 30 days when I can go on Kindle and say, oh, issue 798 of The Flash is out right now? I don't have to wait 30 days? Yeah, I'll pay $3.99. So
yeah, I see what you're saying. For me though, it's invaluable to be able to go back, especially for series that I don't regularly read.
Yeah, okay, and
helpful to have it.
Yeah. If Green Lantern crosses over or what have you, it makes a little bit of sense. Yeah. But I haven't gotten there yet. So I still do the Amazon / Kindle route when I go digital. But yeah, I'm excited for Green Lantern #1. I know you are. And May is not that far. It was going to be June at one point, but I think they moved it up a month.
Well, it changed because originally, remember, this was supposed to be Mariko Tamaki.
Yeah,
doing this series, and then that changed. And right. I still don't know the reasoning behind that. So there's got to be a story there. I'd like to hear that someday.
I just hope it's not her quitting because of the backlash, because that would be terrible.
Yeah, that's another thing. Again, it's fine if you don't like her writing, but I've seen some things said about her that were crossing the lines. So
yeah, like it shouldn't matter the gender or ethnicity of a person writing a character, that because she wrote Detective. We reviewed some of those issues,
right,
and it was great.
Yes, she wrote Being Super. I thought that was a great story.
The Supergirl.
Yeah, the Supergirl story. Yeah,
that was a good one. Yeah.
Yes, it was. Yep.
So I hope that's not the reason. Having said that, when I heard Jeremy Adams' name, one of the things I said was, damn, I'm probably going to have to get this physically now, because his Flash. The only reason I'm not getting Flash digitally or physically, sorry, is because it ships twice a month, and I respect that they do that, but I can't justify it. It's like, no, I can't. My wallet says, buddy, that's no, you're not doing this. Yeah, yeah, I'd rather you get a different book. Yeah. So I'm excited by the creative team coming on, and it'll be nice to have a monthly new Green Lantern to talk about. Speaking of comic with Green Lantern to talk about, we have one of those, and it's as I mentioned, Green Lantern Earth 1 Volume 2. So we're going to take a quick break, and on the other side of that, we're going to talk this graphic novel. So stay tuned.
Yep.
We'll be right back.
What's up, everyone? It's the Emerald Enthusiast. For all of your multiverse viewing and listening needs, check out our shows, which include Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, Power Rangers, the Marvel Universe, and the DC Universe, including the Emerald Echo podcast. You can check us out on Podbean, and remember to subscribe right here on YouTube. That's the Multiverse Musings Podcast Network. From the first podcast to the last.
And we're back.
As promised. So, Donnie, we as we talked about before a break, we are reviewing Green Lantern Earth 1 Volume 2. Now, the reason why I suggested we do this earlier than we were going to do it anyway, but I brought it up as a thing to do earlier because during his DC Universe slate reveal, James Gunn talked about the Lanterns show and was showing the artwork from this book as, the placeholder. I don't know if that means the take on Green Lantern is going to be based off Earth 1. I'm not sure. Or he just thought, hey, this art looks really cool, let's use it. But it's worth noting that if you go on DC Comics, they have a DC Universe Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters reading recommendations. So, and for each of the movies announced, they have a recommended book to read. So for Superman, it's All-Star Superman. For Brave and the Bold, it's the Grant Morrison Volume 1 of Batman, et cetera, et cetera. And then when it got to Green Lantern, they had featured there Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, which was, of course, written by Robert Venditti. So I don't know if they're going to be using Earth 1 as reference source material, but they did use the art, and the art was really good. So I wonder if that's an indication, Donnie, that maybe, in live action, Green Lantern is going to look like he did in Earth 1. We'll see.
Well, it's still a cosmic story.
Yeah.
With lots of characters eventually. But this is also more of a stripped down story than we've seen with a lot of the massive panoramic Green Lantern scale stories.
And that makes sense for how the show is described.
And there's not so much about the core and the past history here that people who don't know Green Lantern couldn't pick it up.
Right. Yeah. So when you say, more stripped down, that actually makes sense with the description for the Lantern show that James Gunn talked about. So maybe it's a hybrid of both Earth 1 and Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. It could be a melding of the two, right?
Yes.
In some way. But give us who is the creative team on Green Lantern Earth 1 Volume 2, John?
Okay, I hope I'm pronouncing this name correctly. Karina Beshko, Gabriel Hardman, and Jordan Boyd.
Okay, awesome. And
yes.
That's how I would have pronounced it. And the reason I gave it to you was because...
You're a sadist, that's why.
No, because I think it was during the... I don't know what Chris and I had recorded. It might have been the Flash trailer. or something else. But I had said the creative team of whatever we were reviewing, and I guarantee I butchered the hell out of those names. And I said on the show, this is why I have Donnie read the names out. So that's why I had you do it. But all right, let's get into the story, Donnie. So where does this leave? Where does this pick up our characters from the last volume, which we reviewed right here?
Okay, now remember the big reveal at the end of Volume 1 was the creation of, however you want to say it, it's more Yellow Lanterns than Sinestro Corps here, but there are yellow rings in play. That's how things ended with Volume 1. So we pick up here almost 3 years after Hal Jordan goes back to Earth. We see that humanity has been brought into this cosmic community after the Green Lantern Corps saved the planet from the Manhunters. But there is a lot of kind of trepidation about the Green Lantern Corps, about this intergalactic community. We see a lot of kind of dissension and various points of view here, not only among humanity, but among the Green Lanterns themselves. Differing points of views from Sinestro, from Arisia, from Hal Jordan, from Kilowog. And I think that's one of the strengths of this is they really discuss how the role of an intergalactic type of police force, what's justified, what is overstepping the bounds, what is overly authoritarian. We see that in play here. And I think that the voices of the characters were gotten right here. Even though these are different versions of the characters, the things that they say, I think you've seen it reflected enough in the past that you can believe what they're saying. When Sinestro is like, this power is here and we need to exert more of it, he jumps at it. Hal Jordan looks at the yellow rings and is like, I'm skeptical. Maybe that's a step too far. So what were your thoughts on that?
I agree. I like the fact that they were trying to work it all out. Like this was all new territory for them, because in this scenario, they haven't spent time with the Guardians on Oan. Like there isn't a council of, if you will, there isn't a council of Guardians to consult.
Mm-hmm.
There's seemingly just the one, and he's, as the story progresses, a little bit off his rocker.
Right. Very unhinged. Yes.
Right. So it's not like you can go, hey, Guardians, what do you think we should do here? Hey, give us some advice. Tell us what to do. They have to figure it out on the go. And they are a collection of Jesus Christ, I keep knocking my head. They are, a disparate group of races, alien races, right? You've got the human, you've got Kilowog, you've got Arisia, you've got Sinestro. So I believe Birdman is in there. What's his name?
Tomo Ray. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't remember, so I called him Birdman. Big Boy. That's what I'm going to do. When I forget his name again, and it'll happen, I'll call him Big Boy. It's just like Butterball. By the way, Butterball is in Legion of Superheroes, the animated movie. He was there, and
yes.
I got.
Are we talking about Roundhouse again? Roundhouse.
Yeah, because I called him when I saw him on the screen, I called him Butterball, and I was very happy. But anyway, so they all have different viewpoints because of their home worlds. Affects how they think, and the sort of their main focus when the main conflict starts coming about is, we shouldn't get involved in this. Let's just focus on each one of us protecting our home worlds.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas Hal's more concerned because obviously Earth is now at the center of this conflict.
Yeah, sort of the first big event that happens here is that Earth is attacked. Actually, Earth does the attacking, but then there is a counterattack because seemingly there's an attack from the Arrowhead Station.
Yeah.
And it seems that
Larn. What is it? Larn? What is it?
Yeah, Larn. Yeah.
Laren? How do you pronounce that? I don't know.
Yeah. The Larnans. The Laurens.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. There's an attack, and it seems that Earth is the aggressor here. And so Hal Jordan is able to shield the platform itself, but it kind of sets off a chain of events where it seems like, there is going to be, an attack on Earth, and that they're going to be pulled into this conflict.
Yeah.
And a lot of the story focuses then on, who is kind of moving the pieces behind the scenes.
Right. And so, yeah, I mean, that was very, look, you don't want to get too political here, but that was really real world. I mean, we've seen that when there's been conflict of, well, who started this conflict, and should we get involved? And so that is a very real issue that I think, governments and armed forces have to face. So putting the Green Lantern Corps in that scenario, I think, is very apt and very appropriate, because if anybody in the DC universe is going to have to deal with situations like that, it would be the Green Lantern Corps.
And we see that there's actually 3 human representatives that are taken hostage by the Laurens when they withdraw their ship from Earth. It's Negendo Maturi, Sophie Rivas, and, of course, John Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a name that, obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you better know who John Stewart is. So.
Yeah. I would hope so. And so, of course, we find out that, actually, before I say that, I want to say the Lauren, the group of Larnians?
Lauren.
The aliens that are the Earth is trying to broker a not a peace with, but a cooperative, working relationship, right?
Yes.
With, they remind me, the way they look, first of all, they're drawn fantastically and colored fantastically.
Mm-hmm.
But they remind me of the Gorn on Star Trek, the original Gorn. Remember the Gorn?
Yes.
I don't know, from the, that's, when I was watching, I'm like, yeah, it's the Gorn, but not, and what's funny is this book had a Star Trek vibe to it, a very Star Trek vibe to it.
Oh, yes, yes.
And I love that. I loved it. Because I'm a Star Trek fan.
So, another big scene that I really like the way it was drawn. So, Hal Jordan goes to the orbit of Lauren Prime, and he is confronted by Lauren warships, including a lantern. And this is the first time we see Hal see a lantern with a yellow ring.
Mm.
And this lantern declares they're the defender of Lauren Prime and that sector, and really blasts Hal Jordan, and is seemingly, at this point, we see that the yellow rings are more powerful in this continuity than the green rings.
Yeah. Hal takes a beating. He really
doesn't want to fight at this point. He wants to have a conversation. He wants to broker some peace and kind of see what's going on here.
Which is kind of newer for Hal, because the Hal we're used to is that hotshot, test pilot. It's like, okay, go in, shoot first, ask questions later, kind of vibe. So to see him, but again, I think that's more because of how new he is at this. So he doesn't have that confidence yet.
And he also realizes there are some massive consequences if he does the wrong thing here.
Yeah.
And yes, a lot of times in the comics, depending on the writer, Hal Jordan does leap before he looks. And usually that serves him well, because he has a gut that usually makes the right call. But I think he sees here that this is a massive situation involving many pieces, and if he does the wrong thing, he could make it worse.
Right. Absolutely. So, but the visuals, they were just fantastic. All that stuff where he's in space was just, gorgeous artwork.
Now, the scene shifts to Cometa 4, and we see that Arisia and the rest of the Green Lanterns here, including Sinestro, they're fighting off the Manhunters.
Which I brought back from the first volume.
Mm-hmm. And as they are fighting, the Yellow Lanterns actually intervene, and they're the ones who destroy the Manhunters here. So that was another interesting development early on that I thought, okay, we're getting kind of various motivations behind the scenes here, and how is this going to play out? So this was one story that I couldn't see the end of it from the beginning. A lot of times, especially with Green Lantern, because I've read so much, I can kind of see how it's going to develop. And there were things that I called, but I didn't exactly see the way that this unfolded. There was enough of a surprise for, me to feel like, it wasn't a perfunctory effort by the writer.
Right. No, there were a lot of surprises. Ultimately, the fact that Earth was kind of set up in this scenario by a Yellow Lantern.
Yeah.
Also, kind of, wouldn't you say at the behest of the Guardian?
Yeah, well, the Guardian is like seemingly kind of duplicitous here in what they want. Like they talk about wanting peace and order, but at the same time they're going at it in a very unusual way.
Yeah, sending one of your minions, which is a Yellow Lantern, to start a war is not really conducive to peace and harmony. 1 + 1 doesn't equal 3, but according to this, this kind of behavior, that's what's going to get you. I really thought it was where I was surprised by this book was with Sinestro, because he does the typical Sinestro thing, which is he disagrees with Hal, and then eventually goes with the yellow ring. Yellow ring.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very on brand,
right?
For Sinestro. But then at the end, to switch again, like he did a double turn in wrestling speak. But still, so that was surprising that he went back to the green. But even though having him make that change, which is not really main continuity accurate, they did keep this idea that he disagreed with the Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of it, when he switched back, he was like, no, this guy's off his rocker.
And for those of you, if you don't remember in this continuity, Arisia is the head of the Green Lantern Corps at this point.
Right.
She's the one calling the shots. And so she is, speaking with Hal and taking his suggestions under advisement, but he never challenges her authority here. And there's not the other Guardians to tell her what to do. So she's the one who's in control.
And that makes sense because in this continuity, she's been with the ring longest.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't you listen?
In fact, the scene turns that they go back to Graxos 4, which is where she's from. And that in this continuity, that's the current headquarters of the Green Lantern Corps. And this is where Hal once again sees Kilowog. And they learn that there are reports of manhunters from around the galaxy being recalled to Oa.
Yeah.
So this, Sinestro wants to leap at this chance. He's like, now is our chance to take them all out.
Yeah.
And so Arisia, she thinks that is a good idea. So they head to Oa.
And crazy, a crazy action-packed third act ensues. But so I was really like I said, they gave us enough familiarity with Sinestro, like what you're used to, but they also switched it up, which I liked. I did like that. That double turn was quite creative. I enjoyed that. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. And then they got so the other thing before I get to the really crazy stuff at the end. What did you think of how they interpreted John Stewart?
I would have liked for him to have a bigger role in this. I didn't necessarily think he was out of character. I thought that the voice was correct.
Yeah.
But I don't. This seemed like this was a more novice version of John, And there were some times that I thought he could be a little bit more like self-assured in certain areas.
Yeah.
But like I said, I did like that he was brought into this story and the way he was used in the overall narrative.
What do you think of him? The first ring that he uses in this continuity is yellow. So what did you think of that?
Again, when you're reading a story like this, things are not going to unfold even in a parallel way of all the stories that came before it. Yeah. So I didn't have a problem with that as long as, it achieves the ultimate goal. Yeah.
And you know what's cool too is that when you see people like John using the ring, the yellow ring, it really brings up the nature versus nurture argument in the sense that depending on your willpower and your worldview will determine how you use that ring.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've seen that addressed in the Green Lantern mythos before.
Right.
Of the way that, first of all, you like what is will?
Yeah.
Like will in and of itself is not an emotion. It's the compilation of a lot of different emotions, a lot of different motivations. And we've talked about fear before with like Jessica Cruz being able to master her fear. And, that was something that was talked about a little bit during the Jeff Thorne run, is she's felt fear before. How does she then use that as a tool? Whereas before, all we saw with the Yellow Lanterns, the Sinestro Corps, were they were able to instill fear across the universe.
Mm.
So you can take different angles with these types of emotions that are part of the spectrum and say, how does this character deal with this particular emotion?
Right. So yeah, I thought that was cool that he didn't like it. It really challenges you to when you see stories like this and used in this way. It really challenges you to sort of take another look at the yellow ring and think, okay, in some stories, it's portrayed as the personification of fear and evil, but really it comes down to the ring bearer at that point. It's like, what do you want to use it for, right?
Because remember, we've seen Hal Jordan use a yellow ring before.
Yeah.
So, and actually, back in this story, we see that the Guardian introduces himself to the Green Lanterns and says that he explaining that what his motivation is here is that he had all of the Manhunters return, and we see piles of them destroyed here, and that is through the power of these new yellow rings. That they don't specifically say that these are the sort of counter. What's the word I'm looking for? They're not the opposite of the Green Lantern rings. They're more advanced. And that's why we see that they are more powerful than the green rings.
Right, true. But then in the third act, things get crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And they start hinting at multiversal consequences here.
Yes.
Which was unexpected.
So, could we see some of these characters down the line integrated into like some of these, company-wide events?
Could be. I mean, like I said, because you start talking about Krona, right? Which is the one,
right. We saw Krona in this,
and they talk about him experimenting with multiverses and all that, and so what this Guardian wants to do is take his failures, learn from them, and build upon it, right? So it's like I wasn't in a story that was relatively, for Green Lantern purposes, grounded. I wasn't expecting them to start hinting and playing with multiverse.
Right. And we see, that's something that is brought up here in the conversation
Right.
and consequently shattering that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was shocked by that. And so it just got me thinking, like, are there elements here aside from just artwork that James Gunn and Peter Safran could pull on? Probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the Green Lantern, see, I had always thought, and here's what I'll give you a thought on. I had always thought that, the Lantern show was originally going to, I'm like, okay, what could they be using from this particular version? And I thought the Manhunters, that could be, because remember James Gunn said the Lantern show would feed into the larger threat of chapter 1 and 2. Well, I thought, okay, well, Manhunters. But then I'm like, do you really need Superman, potentially Wonder Woman, Batman handling Manhunters? I mean, why?
Yeah, an army of Manhunters, if a lot of them were activated, that would be interesting to see Superman fighting an army of them.
Yeah, and so then I thought, okay, well, if it's not Manhunters, I instantly went to Blackest Night. I'm like, well, they're going to... Because even Parallax, for example, if Parallax is the greater threat, it could be a bigger problem, a DC Universe-wide problem. But typically, the Lanterns, when they pull together, can handle Parallax, right? So my mind immediately went to Black Hand and an eventual adaptation of Blackest Night, because that's right up James Gunn's alley, that kind of stuff, right? But this gave me pause, was like, because James Gunn and Peter Safran mentioned they are working on a multiversal story in addition to what the Flash is doing. So, I mean, now with Earth 1 Volume 2 hinting at the multiverse, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot they could pull from this particular book, albeit either the Manhunters or that idea of. So I was very intrigued, and then the big finale. What I liked about this book was that it really. The story was, Hal Jordan was the central Lantern at the forefront, but the resolution involved the entire set of characters that they had introduced to us, and they each played a pivotal role.
Yeah, and I like the way that Carol Ferris was integrated in here too.
Yeah.
She wasn't just Hal Jordan's love interest.
Yeah. But the way they played that was, she had her own part to play, but they did hint at the love story.
Ferris, not Ferris Air, Ferris Galactic.
Right, which makes sense. And for this particular, but again, like, I like that she wasn't just the love interest, but the relationship was discussed and hinted at.
Yeah. And it kind of ends with the two of them, she is, wondering about whether interstellar travel is worth it at this point.
Yeah.
And, Hal thinks that it is. And the story ends with, again, another 3-year jump on the planet Quard. There's a city that's under attack. A Quardian runs to a building with the central power battery nearby, and he's seeking the aid of the Guardian. And coming out of the building is a green streak of light, and it is Hal Jordan, who flies off to save the day, but he's like, "Don't call me Guardian."
Yeah, and I really like that.
Kind of like Sid Vicious. Don't call me Psycho.
Except he was very much so. But I really like that page at the end there, because at that point we're starting to get, I believe, the more confident, self-assured, cocky, shoot first, ask questions later kind of Hal that we're used to. I think if they ever did another one of these, that's where it would go. And so I just like that piece of art, because that's what it evoked. But also the idea that, Carol and John are under the impression that, or at least that's what I got from the story, that they think Hal's dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they thought that he was dead. By the way, the Green Lantern battery is destroyed in this at one point, and again, we see a lot of Green Lanterns die. That always hurts me. Not just because I'm a Green Lantern fan. It reminds me of the Jedi Purge.
Yeah,
but
okay.
yeah, the one that really got to me was Salak.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he was killed. So
yeah, because you see the Yellow Lanterns systematically taking out some lanterns, and it's very Anakin of you. Yes, the way those poor Jedi children. It still pains me. Anyway, but yeah, no.
Shocking, wasn't it? But anyway.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I would denounce him as my father too if I was Luke. Anyway. Yeah, I look, another solid volume in this particular story. My question is, why haven't we gotten a third one?
Well, it seemed like they tied things up, but that doesn't mean that there's not more to this story.
Like, why was this initiative? It seems like DC's let it go at this point in terms of the whole Earth One initiative. You know, Superman got 3 volumes. Batman got 3 volumes. Wonder Woman, I believe, got 3 volumes. I would have liked to see Green Lantern get a third, and then I would have liked to see the Earth One take on the Flash. Would have been cool, and the Earth One take on Aquaman would have been cool. I like this initiative of the Earth One. It's very much like Marvel's Ultimates line. And I like that line of Marvel Comics. So I wish they would have continued. Yeah, you know what? There's something to be said of that graphic novel format where I could just pick it up and there's the whole story right in front of me. Like, I love the monthlies, but I think it's cool to have that one story right there in front of you at one point in time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh no, I like complete stories more so than single issues. Now, as a collector, I love single issues. I love variants. I don't mind reading that kind of story, but collected editions are my preference.
Yeah, so I would welcome a return to this kind of format.
And let me say a few things about the art here. I wouldn't want Hal Jordan to have this astronaut type of look as like the main continuity, but as an Elseworlds type of story. It's not an Elseworlds.
It grew on me.
I liked it. I also like the way the ring was drawn here. I'm very particular about the ring.
Yeah, number one. In your product reviews, you're very you get on that ring and it's like all of a sudden you pull out your what's it called,
magnifying glass.
Thank you, Jesus. I can't talk today. It's like whenever you get to the ring portion of your reviews, you pull out a magnifying glass. It's like, all right, now it's time to really.
Exactly. Well, the ring here, it's number one. It should always be on the middle finger. That's something I hate when the ring is on.
When you gotta tell somebody off, you have that ring right there.
And it like I said, it's large. It kind of sits over the finger here. You can clearly see the Green Lantern logo, and it looks very powerful. So I really like the way that looked.
So now you commented on, you wouldn't want. So if this kind of costume for Green Lantern would be the way they went in the TV show, you would react how?
Well, first of all, and you'll hear me say this a lot, not everything is the greatest thing that's ever happened in the history of the world, nor is it the worst thing to ever happen in the history of the world. I think the Green
Twitter tells you differently, Donnie. Come on.
Exactly. It's like it's always two sides. These warring factions.
Like
I think they could go simple, go classic. But if they were to go this way, it's not the end of the world.
Especially if it looked like it did in that final page, because that's where it looked the best. And I'm like, okay, now if they did a volume 3, now we're getting to the meat of that was aligning. It started to get closer and closer to the mainstream Green Lantern. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I also like the art on the scene when they tried to arrest the soldiers here on Earth. They tried to arrest Hal Jordan, and he just put up a shield and flew away.
And they're
Even
like,
with all those,
and they're like, screw, we got no chance.
Yeah, he was like, he's too powerful. Just don't waste the ammo.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, so like I agree with you. As an Elseworlds take on the costume, it grew on me. Look, I love how it looked in that last shot. But I gotta believe, Donnie, that with James Gunn as the creative force behind the DC universe on film and television, if you look at his other comic book films, the Guardians and the Suicide Squad, when it comes to costuming, more often than not, he's fairly accurate to the source material.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that when we see Green Lantern, we're going to see something quite accurate to the source material. So I'm not concerned.
I also like the design of the Laurens in this.
Yeah, like I said, they look like the Gorn, which maybe the writer was a fan of, and the artists were a fan of Star Trek, because I could definitely see the reference.
So it's spelled, by the way, Lallarans, Laurens. So you may pronounce it differently. I don't know. A lot of times people pronounce different, alien races differently.
They're not real. They're not real species. So whatever way you pronounce it, have at it. My pronunciation may be different than yours or Donnie's, and that's cool.
Yeah, I also really like the
Raz and Raish. It's like, all right, what is it?
I like the lantern of Cometa 4. Thought that was really interesting. I like the way they drew Arisia here.
Yeah.
This was, an older version of Arisia, thankfully. And that we didn't go back to. Let's not go there. The Manhunters.
Stick to Carol, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And,
stay in your lane, buddy. Stay in your lane.
Another thing that I want to bring up here. The idea of the central power battery kind of being strapped on Hal's back.
Yeah.
That's one thing that, depending on the writer over the years, sometimes Lanterns have easy access to their batteries, like through a pocket dimension. And other times we get these stories where, I forgot my battery, or it's back on Earth, or I have to try to go get it or whatever. It seems to me at this point that, not necessarily in this story, but that the Green Lantern Corps would have figured out a way to keep those close at hand so they don't run out of charge for their ring.
Yeah, like you think alien technology, does it have to actually be a big ass lantern that you have to lug around? Like,
I like the idea. When Sinestro had it in the pocket.
I like the imagery of the lantern and putting the thing. That's great.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
For the purpose of travel, with interstellar travel, can we not have a charger that's smaller, more like something?
Yeah. Well, the Indigo Tribe figured it out.
Yeah.
Exactly. Why can't the Green Lanterns figure out? Exactly. Hey, there's a way to carry your charging.
Exactly. They figured it out. Yeah, they got it straightened away. Yeah. But no, I overall I really enjoyed this book, Donnie. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you want to bring up before we go ahead and rate it?
No, I also want to say I really like the hug when Kilowog and Hal are reunited.
I really liked their friendship. That was really good.
Yeah. That worked very well. And that's that's something that, even though this is a different type of relationship that they have, the voices were right here between Hal and Kilowog. So
I think they got the core essential elements of the Green Lantern mythos is there. And that's important. And then, of course, when you're tasked with creating an alternate take on these characters, as long as the essential core is there of each character, you can play around with the mythos, in an Elseworld type of take.
The Guardian also had a huge head, by the way.
Yeah.
Very big. They usually have big heads, but it was particularly big in this particular rendition. So
yeah. Almost gave Hector Hammond the run for his money.
That would be interesting. Hector Hammond as a Guardian. So,
that'd be creepy. Very disturbing.
So what did you? What were your impressions as far as rating this?
In terms of a rate, like I said, I really enjoyed it. I love the Star Trek-esque aspects to it.
Mm-hmm.
The characters were, like you said, in terms of the way they were written, their personalities were, for the most part, on brand with what we're used to, with little tweaks, which I appreciate. So it was a good balance of fresh but familiar, and so I was happy with that. The art was solid, except for the fact that it took me a few pages to get over the fact that Hal Jordan looks a lot like Stephen Amell. So that, because I was expecting him to show up and say, "You have failed this sector," or something of that nature. Thankfully, Carol didn't look anything like Felicity, because that would have bothered me. But yeah, overall, for the story, I'll say 4, and for the art, I'll say 4.5.
Actually, that was exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, great minds think alike. What can you say?
I thought that the art, it was actually improved from the last volume.
Yeah.
And I like kind of how, dark and gritty it is in certain places.
Yeah.
And I like the story a lot. Like I said, there were enough surprises to where I didn't feel like, hey, this is a perfunctory effort as a reader. I know exactly where this is going to go.
Yeah.
And I really like the artwork too. Another panel that I liked was when all of the lanterns were calling Aresia for backup. And you got to see a group of lanterns. Nort was in it, but that's okay. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was solid. It was a fun read. And like I said, if they took story elements like this for the live action series, or certain story elements, it wouldn't bother me one bit. So we'll see where they go. But this was a good read, and we have lots of Green Lantern to look forward to, and it's cool to finally be able to say that.
I'm very excited to have new series as well as an omnibus of something that was very successful from the past.
Do you have a countdown clock on your computer, Donnie, or your phone to when the first issue comes out? Because I'd imagine you'd have something like that.
I will say this. My local comic shop doesn't open till a Wednesday, so it's going to be out on a Tuesday. So there's going to be a day before I can actually get it. So those days for me, when there's a new Green Lantern issue and I have to wait a day, they seem like they span an eternity.
You know what it'll be? It'll be like the sleep on Christmas Eve before Christmas morning.
Very good parallel, sir. I appreciate that.
And you'll get that every week. So just imagine that. Or every week. Every month. Imagine a week. What would your wallet say to a weekly Green Lantern title, Donnie?
Oh boy. I would definitely have to make room in this room because the shelves are filling up very quickly, Donnie, as are the long boxes.
Donnie would go to his wife and be like, honey, we have to put an extension on this house.
But
yeah. Awesome. I can't wait. Like I said, can't wait to continue our coverage of Green Lantern and everything else DC, because I think it's just a great time to be a fan of this DC brand. Good times are ahead in all mediums, and let's get excited for it. But that will wrap this episode up. But the conversation doesn't need to end here. You can always reach Donnie and I on various social media platforms. So, Donnie, if they want to talk Green Lantern with you, where do they do that?
You can find me on Twitter and TikTok as the Emerald Enthusiast. Let's talk comics. Let's talk collectibles. Let's talk Green Lantern.
And if you want to find me on social media, you can find me at Adam_LeafsFan on Twitter. You can find the show Twitter handle at MMNPDC. You can find us on Facebook at the Facebook group. All you have to do is click the link below. Click the join button, and I will add you, and we can continue the conversation there.
I do want to highlight one thing before we go, just very quickly here. It says in the bio of Jordan Boyd, which I thought was hilarious, Jordan Boyd, Despite nearly flunking kindergarten for his exclusive use of black crayons, he has moved on to become a prolific comic book artist.
I mean, and that's very accurate because his art was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if they ever do another take on the Black Hand, he'd be the perfect guy to
That's right.
draw, apparently.
Yeah.
Or at least his younger self. But yeah, so click the Facebook link, join up on the group, and I will add you. We can continue the conversation there. But until next time, remember that Green Lantern is forever. From the first time they charge their rings in any capacity, in any way, to the last. So long, everybody.
So long, everyone.